You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
Happy Victory Monday, Bills Mafia. What is going on, everybody? Another day, another win for the Buffalo Bills. Doesn't seem to matter who it is at this point. We are back with another episode of Believe in Bills podcast. Of course, I'm Justus General, and I am again, as always, with two legends, the legend himself, Coach, Sports Director. He does it all. Coach Muki Hawkins in the building. How you doing, Mook?
I'm good. Victory Monday. Bills got a bye, you know. We crowning folks today, right?
That's a big W to go on the bye with. And, of course, we got the Hall of Famer, Reuben Brown, in the building. What's going on, Rube? How you feeling, man?
I'm great. I'm pumped after the win. It was a great game. It couldn't have been more exciting. It was just it's what you come to expect from when two great teams play each other.
Yes, absolutely. And we talked about that, and we'll go ahead and get into it today. Of course, today's episode is brought to you guys by Bet Online. Shout out to Bet Online and the guys over there. We're going to go ahead and get things started, kicked off with, hey, this is a fair question. I wanted to say NFL, but I was like, I'll be conservative, okay? Does this win solidify the Bills as the best team in the AFC? Muki, what you think about that?
I mean, they're in number one spot right now. I mean, what team that beat the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs? Of course, I think that the Bills are the front runner in the driver's seat for home field advantage. We do understand what happened, in Miami, but we'll settle that when time comes. But for the Bills to go on the road to Baltimore and pull that out, and for them to go to Kansas City again and pull that out, I mean, what team you name a team in the AFC that's better?
Oh man, I agree with you 100%. Who is better than Buffalo in the AFC right now? I can't see a viable challenger other than the one that we just faced this past week, Kansas City. And I think about something that my old coach Marv Levy would say to us from time to time throughout the season. He would say, "Good teams or championship teams win on the road," and this was a road victory. And this is the type of team you have to be in order to win a championship, because when you win the chip, you're not going to be at home. You're going to be on the road. So if you can go out into harsh elements like Kansas City and bring home a victory, you're building the foundation of what it's going to take to end up being a championship team. And that they are right now. And listen, I've been on teams, guys, that at the halfway mark of the season, everybody was pretty much saying we were the Super Bowl champions or were going to be the Super Bowl champions. But the second half of the season came, and a lot of other outside factors came. I mean, injuries, things like that, just other teams getting better. And if you're not aware of those things, being really good in the early part of the season means nothing. What really matters is this the win that you stand on, or is this the win that you're going to just keep thinking about and don't focus on what's in the future? And I don't think that's a problem for the Buffalo Bills because of their coaching staff. Have gotten I believe they're pretty focused, but that's something that could happen to this team. Now, everything looks good. We want it to stay that way, but you have to be aware of the possibilities of things. The other teams in the NFL are going to get better, and also, every NFL team is tough to beat. Just because we're Josh Allen don't mean we could just roll our Buffalo Bills helmet out there on the field and it's just going to win automatically. It's going to take some great work, but what they showed this week is what it takes to do the job for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any debating against that. We beat the Kansas City Chiefs last year, and then we went out there. We had our own destiny in our hands, and we ended up losing the requisite amount of games that would allow us to not host, a divisional round playoff or AFC championship game potentially. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move into the first quarter of today's show. We have Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. Now, you got the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, probably the two best teams in the NFL, two of the best coaches in the NFL. It was a dogfight as we all expected it. But I mean, people want to say, hey, Patrick Mahomes has the hardware, right? He has the MVP, he has the Super Bowl, which he won a few years ago, but nonetheless, he still has it, and he's played phenomenally throughout his career, right? But now this is 2 years in a row he's lost to Josh Allen on his home turf in the regular season, granted. Mm-hmm. But Josh Allen has now outperformed him again. What does that mean for the Bills' confidence going forward, Ruben?
It means a lot when they go into big games. The team itself, I know us as fans, we're confident that they have the capabilities and Josh has the talent to go out and do so. It's just a matter of actually doing it on the day that you need it done. He's got a lot of hay in the barn, as they would say. A lot of success. And it's hopefully we want it all to be building towards that ultimate success, so that, hey, we can be saying, we got a Super Bowl under our belt, years from now. We could be having the same conversation that the fans of Kansas City make about their Patrick Mahomes. Oh, we got an MVP. Oh, we got a Super Bowl. Okay, that's well and good. But, you don't keep that forever. Somebody else is coming, and it'll be someone else's turn to be MVP and Super Bowl champion. So that'll be a fun, back and forth with the Kansas City fans once that is accomplished for the Bills.
Yeah, most definitely. 27 for 40 passing, 68% passing, 329 yards, 3 touchdowns for Josh Allen. And for Patrick Mahomes, he was 25 of 40. He had 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. I mean, he was only 63% passing on the day. His rating wasn't great. Josh's was obviously great. What does it mean that Josh outdueled Patrick Mahomes again?
Yeah, again, they're not talking about it. They don't want to hear it after the fact. Now they're just going to say, oh, he got to do it now in the playoffs. It's always going to be some type of, like this didn't count, like this didn't matter. And yeah, he is playing Patrick Mahomes in the regular season the past couple of outings. He has outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But again, yeah, when the game matters, we'll see in the postseason. If they bump heads, then I guess, we can gauge it that way. But right now, in 2022 season, Josh Allen is probably the top quarterback in the NFL right now. And he just put that on display in Kansas City by being efficient, by making the plays when it matters the most. He made the plays. He didn't turn the ball over other than that crazy whatever play we saw in the first drive with the jet option, whatever that was. They should have ran that. I know Ruben probably punched a hole in the wall when they went away from the run to do that little play right there. You know what I mean? But other than that, I think Josh had a damn near flawless game, versus a tough Kansas City team. So yeah, he has been playing. I mean, yeah, he's outplayed him. Well, I ain't scared to say that, but it seems like everybody else is. They won't say that the day after that he's outplaying Patrick Mahomes. He's outplaying Patrick Mahomes. That's why they were 2.5 point underdogs. The Bills covered the spread too. So
they sure did.
Right. At the end of the day, Josh Allen is coming to Arrowhead. He's outplaying your starting quarterback, and that's why they were underdogs at home for that reason alone. Clearly showed you.
You are not wrong. However, you made a good point there. I know Ruben's going to appreciate. So I want to get to it a little bit. I want to ask you, Ruben. Devin Singletary, he was going off. I mean, receiving game, run game, it really didn't matter. He was producing whenever he touched the football. Mm-hmm. He had 17 carries for 85 yards. That is 5 yards per carry on the dot. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, it's the second half. It's Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, yada, yada, yada. But was that rushing performance encouraging for you?
Oh my goodness! I was going to make that part of my rundown about the run game. So I know anytime you can effectively run the ball, you put the chances of a win in your hands. And they had design runs, and the offensive line got into it and did a great job blocking. So anytime I see that, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to point out something my guy Spin said. Shout out to Spin, always supporting. He says, what happens if Josh Allen wins an MVP Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP this year? What are those people going to say now that they can't use that as a way of saying Patrick Mahomes is better than Josh Allen? And that's a great point because Josh, at this point, bar none, like he's by himself in the MVP, voting. He is outplaying most teams, let alone most quarterbacks. So, that if he can continue what he's doing now and not really falter, that's in the bag as far as I'm concerned. And then the Super Bowl, I mean, if they continue playing how they're playing now and not falter, that is also in the bag as far as I'm concerned. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens for the rest of the season. And if that should happen, the narrative that is created around these two quarterbacks, because it's not far off right now. Whether you want to say Josh or Pat is better, you're not necessarily wrong either way you go. But again, like Muki said, Josh Allen is outperforming Patrick Mahomes as of right now. I mean, honestly, he's been outperforming them the last 3 seasons, 2 seasons, and then this season, of course. And the only reason Pat gets the advantage really is because he's able to squeak out those wins in the playoffs. So that is a monkey that the Bills have to get off their back. And there's a man that is going to be able to help them do it. He certainly helped them yesterday. We're going to go ahead and get into the second quarter, the tale of Von Miller. Von Miller came into Buffalo with the idea that we needed to get 15 on the ground. Von Miller came into Buffalo with the idea that I need to win another Super Bowl. And, I mean, 6 weeks through the season, it looks like he certainly picked the right team, Muki.
Oh, yeah, it was a day. Money well spent. I can tell you that. You always get what you pay for, right? Hey, we was paying Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes $10 million apiece to do what Von Miller did yesterday. So let's just say that Von Miller got a sack in a count of 2 people, Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison. You take their 2 contracts, you give it to Von Miller. Them $10 million that they was making a piece, you combine that into one, and that turns into Von Miller. $20 million a year, he gets you 2 sacks, versus Patrick Mahomes. In crucial moment, he's able to, create enough pressure where he can force a game-winning turnover. So, yeah, money well spent. This is why you bring a guy like that in. You bring an ultimate pass rusher or ultimate closer to go just pin his ears back and just go get the quarterback when they need you to do that. And Von Miller went out there and he showed you why. He definitely took advantage of, Kansas City O-line at that situation. And, you see the technique that the guy uses. It's an array of moves. So that's money well spent to get an elite pass rusher in those situations.
Absolutely. And Ruben, you tell us, what is it like going up against a dominant pass rusher that can affect the game? Like, what does that do to the morale of the offensive lineman?
For the morale of the offensive line, it's one of everyone knows someone is going to end up with a one-on-one, and that's going to be a tough assignment. Yeah. All right. But here's the other problem. You're going to constantly, throughout the game, try to come up with a way to assist that person that may either be one-on-one or where he's going to be blocking. So now you have to go out of your way to either have a tight end come and help and chip, a running back help and chip, or your guard sliding over late to help the tackle, And that all affects the rest of the offensive line. You know, when you're doing stuff like that, that can cause communication problems. It could cause problems between the tight end and the running backs and the tackle, just tripping over each other, trying to attempt to block Vaughn. So when you have a superior pass rushing talent, it's really about the pass rushing. You know, so he can do things in the run game. I've seen him slip around guys, be elusive, but that's not always a recipe for being a good run stopper. But that's not what he's in here for. He's in here to really elevate the entire defensive line, and he's done that with, you know, there's a 4-man front, and he's in it. You don't need the blitz. You know, there's your blitzing guy right there. He is that blitzing guy. And he's that guy that's going to have to eat up 2 men to block him. Or if that 1 man is blocking him, that means you got to get rid of the ball quick, you know, because you know that guy is only going to be able to hold up for so long. Now, here's the thing about Vaughn. Now, that's the type of thing. That's like a Derek Thomas, a Reggie White, you know, all of these names that you heard in the past, the Bruce Smith. When that guy's on the line, all the other linemen, they may be good, but they're really irrelevant because the focus is to stop that guy first, and the rest of these guys should be an easy one-on-one matchup, which isn't always the case. So Von Miller's presence is a huge sense of, I would say, causes offensive lineman anxiety. You know, they need a therapist after going in a game against a guy like that. And I tell you the thing about Von Miller, I was very nervous when they initially signed him. I'm glad he is the guy that we paid for. Because, you know, you've seen in past where a vaunted pass rusher or a guy we think is going to get some pressure and they come in and he don't do it. Or they don't use him right, a la, what was that big guy that they brought in? Anyway, let's forget about him because it didn't go well for him. But he's come in and he's doing what we expected of him with a name like Von Miller and Super Bowl champions and great pass rusher. He's doing those things. So we couldn't be more happy with the addition of Von Miller.
Yeah, you certainly can't be. Just looking at the way he's performed so far this season, he already has 6 sacks through 6 weeks. And he only plays 30 to 40% of those snaps, which is even crazier to think about. You know, he was a huge factor in yesterday's games with a lot of clutch plays, and even times where he didn't get a sack. You know, that last play where Patrick Mahomes threw that, you know, interception to Teron Johnson, it was because of his pressure that forced that to happen. So Von Miller has been a major contributor. Before we move on, I have to give the people these numbers. All right, so this is back to Josh Allen for just a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Josh Allen has 19 total touchdowns. That leads the league. He has 17 passing touchdowns. That leads the league. He also leads the league in passer rating amongst anybody with at least 120 attempts so far this season. So, and you also have to factor in, and I forgot passing yards as well, obviously. And you also have to remember that he's played 2.5 less quarters than everybody else. So this Bills team is absolutely clicking. And speaking of clicking, that brings us to our third quarter. Situational football, right? Situational football was big, huge part of last night. And one team played better than other. I mean, it was a little close both ways, but one team was able to get it done in the end. Muki, what did you think about the situational football that was played yesterday?
I was up and down with it at first because that first drive again, when Singletary just basically get you all the way down the field, and you just get in the jet sweep. You why? What are we doing in the go? What are we in the shotgun for? What was we in the shotgun inside the 10 again? Doing goofy stuff. doing plays that we haven't never did. And I never see, I don't know what that was right there. McKenzie going in motion, fresh off a concussion protocol. That wasn't the time to try to get foxy that way. Saffold is mowing the lawn. He's handling Chris Jones, the big back bully of the defensive line. Run the football. I'm telling you now, Rube, he's chilling right now. But again, if you watch the Bills, you would have seen Rube going nuts if a run play wasn't called in that sequence after Devin Singletary just clearly marched down 6, 7, 8 yards of crack. Running behind him, by the way, running behind Ruben. And then all of a sudden we get inside the 10 and we jet sweep it. Ruben would have went crazy. They probably would have to change the call. I don't even think they would have did the jet sweep. I think they would have changed that call. But
yeah. You're right.
They definitely would have changed that call after that sequence. So again, that situation, that can't happen. The Bills did a lot of self-infliction. Again, it's not what Kansas City did. It's what the Bills did. Like, again, that self-infliction turnover to start the game off. On 3rd and 1, you got Khalil Shakur out in the situation again that you really shouldn't be in. You making him block somebody. Seemed like somebody missed the block on the perimeter right there, and that guy came right in and tackled, Singletary for a 2-yard loss on the 3rd and 1. Then we come around on the flip side on 4th and 3. I don't know what the hell was called. Went nobody over the middle. It seemed like it was a design draw that they had kind of figured out. But I mean, if he's figured out where he can't run over the middle, somebody should be open running over the middle. I didn't even see that neither. Your check down was to Stephen Diggs doing an out on that play.
What
that was
play
horrible.
was that? When was that? Was him?
That was late in the game when Kansas City got the ball back at midfield, and the Bills defense had to get a stop right there, and they end up getting the stop.
Yeah,
what I mean? That was a key part of the game right there, because if Kansas City scores there, it's a different ball game right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just goofiness right there. I'd rather just punt the ball, and let them travel a distance. Put your defense in that situation. I mean, they was able to come out, on top, but late in the game, sometimes you just got to be smart, and that wasn't smart in my eyes. I respect them being aggressive and all that, but that could have cost the game. Those are just some of the negatives to point out of situational football. But on the flip side, I think it was a good call, finally running that quarterback power at the right time. Just putting the ball in Josh Allen's hands to see what he could do. He almost scored there. He did miraculously what he normally do on quarterback powers. Jump over Kansas City defensive backs. This ain't the first time he did that to a Kansas City back. So that was a good call in the situation that the Bills definitely needed to a quarterback to make a play. That laser to Dawson Knox, that was insane. That was just clearly insane. You know what I mean? It's a lot of good things that the Bills did situationally. I mean, you want to talk about the 98-yard drive, before halftime again. It seemed like who was doing that? Your back's against the wall, 3rd and 13. You were able to connect with Gabe Davis, for 18 yards to keep the sticks alive. And then you go down and, close out the drive with a score. The defensive situation late in the game, I asked Coach, did 13 seconds last year prepare you for, in that situation again, where it was just so simple to rush 3 and spy with Milano, right? Like, you figured they would have, duh, why you didn't do that last year? You know what I mean? But so situational football, I think I give the Bills a B+ on situational football this week. I didn't like those couple of instances that, could have been key factors in that game. But Kansas City didn't get no points off that turnover with Josh and the fumble, and they didn't get no points on the Bills going for it deep in, at midfield, not converting, giving Patrick Mahomes a short field late in the game. That didn't cost them. So you credit the defense, and, they played well in majority of the situations out there.
All right, before we get to you, Rube, hold on. I got one more question for you. All right. I understand you didn't like the speed option. I get it. I mean, I don't know about it. What I'm more concerned about is how it didn't really look like Isaiah McKenzie really was focused maybe as he should have been. He dropped the speed option, he dropped the touchdown pass over the middle, and he dropped the pass at the goal line, or we were backed up on our own goal line.
I'll tell you what happened. It was probably designed for Josh to keep the ball, bro. That's why McKenzie looked at shot when Josh was pitching it to him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm more so asking about McKenzie.
That's a play we shouldn't have been running right there. Singletary is getting you 7-8 yards of crack. The team is in rhythm. Your offensive line is in rhythm. Why would you run? Why would you go outside zone when we killing them in the trenches right now? I mean, he clearly is running behind the guy getting 7-8 of crack at will. We get inside this red zone, we in our own way, calling plays that we shouldn't be calling inside the red zone. That play, what I'm telling you, that play was designed for Josh to keep it, but two guys came in unblocked, and he had to do something with the ball, and he did some goofy shit with the ball, and McKenzie was the scapegoat because McKenzie was. I'm telling you, McKenzie didn't know, and he wasn't trying to get that ball right there. That was. He looked like he
on the shuffle pass.
Yeah, on that, whatever that was on the first drive.
That's what it is. It's the shuffle pass. It's a shuffle. And it should have been more forward. And it shouldn't have been sideways. Now, that's a coaching point for a quarterback and the running back to go over. But actually, shuffle pass is a very dangerous play in the red zone, and it's usually reserved only for the red zone down there because they want to take advantage of upfield penetration, or it's almost like it's basically an option. It's an option play. And yeah, that's all it is. And it's designed they must have identified early in the week that there was a certain type of penetration that they were getting from that defense that they could get them to rush upfield past McKenzie, and he could be throwing the ball to McKenzie and he's gaining yards while everybody's running past. Yeah, we've seen that a million times. And I don't think a lot of people realize that play, obviously everybody, I'm going to tell you right now, pay attention to it. You never see it anywhere other than in the goal line red zone area, guys. That play does not come up anywhere. No team has that play in the middle of the field, backed up, anything like that. That play only shows up in the red zone area. And it was a miscue on all of their parts, really, because when they break that film down, they are going to sit in that meeting room, and the runner and the quarterback and all of them, they're going to have to discuss it and say it was a miscue, and they'll find out which guy, maybe Josh threw it faster or didn't throw it fast. I don't necessarily know the play well enough to know that, but I know it's in every playbook, and it's a red zone play.
Yeah. So, all right. I get it. I mean, I think it was more of like a fluke, and I understand, why people disliked it or liked it, whatever the case may be. But I was more so speaking about like the psyche of McKenzie going forward. He didn't have the best game. So that's why I want to ask you, Muki, like, what do you think is McKenzie's role is on this team going forward? Do you think maybe he lost favor with the coaches?
Nah, I don't think he lost favor. I mean, the guy was out concussed, so you just got to shake the little bit of rust he do have off, and just get back in this rhythm. I think that he just wasn't in game rhythm, and sometimes that happens when you're out. I don't know what happened out there. It seemed like he was just.
I think at the end of the day, he made some contributions. I mean, I know early off he didn't look good at all.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the game, he wasn't using them like we would have thought we would have used them. And that's
he had a catch late in the game.
Yeah, late in the game,
but looking at the 3 plays where
that's all this is, that those are just standout plays. Like, what the hell? Like,
I would say this on that. Every game, guy might not have his best game. What I mean? And clearly he didn't have his best game, but I don't think that in any way this is gonna discourage the coaching staff from designing plays differently with him. I'm sure they'll address it. And I tell you what will change if it shows up in another game, and then you got 2 games like that, then it's gonna be like, all right, we're gonna sit you down. But right now, for what he's contributed, you could say, all right, you didn't start off that well. You made some mistakes. We could clean up because we did get some good plays out of you. You had a C game opposed to having an A game.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter is the number 1 defense in the NFL. Now, of course, we know the Kansas City Chiefs were the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL coming in. That was a fake stat because the Bills, again, have played 2.5 more quarters than them. But no, that's neither here nor there. They still were high scoring. And if not number 1, then top 2 for sure, right? Looking at that, the Buffalo Bills defense that was averaging 12.2 points per game only allowed the Kansas City Chiefs to score 20 points through 4 quarters of play. How huge is that, Ruben?
That is tremendous. A good defense is the best offense that you could ever have. I'm telling you, I played football all my life, and there's nothing better for a team to have a number 1 vaunted defense. I will pass on a number 1 offense any day for a number 1 defense, guys. I'm an offensive lineman, but I'm deep down inside me, I know the value of a good defense. A good defense can give an average offense the ball back 1,000,000 times, and you can still win that damn game. A la Chicago Bears 2006, son. We have no quarterbacks, 0 quarterbacks and a running back, and the rest was defensive special team. So you can't tell me a number 1 defense is the best weapon to anybody. And think about this. This is what is so impressive about a number 1 defense in the NFL at this particular time. The game itself is like a sandlot flag football game. Points be scored left and right, but people putting up 40 bombs, 50 bombs that win games on Sunday. One of the worst teams in the league, Detroit Lions, was mashing gas on people early in the season with points being put up on the board. They were. What was that game, guys? My memory is crap. Detroit was playing somebody. I think it was like 42-32.
Going into last week, Detroit was averaging the most points per game. So
yeah, that's the Detroit Lions, and they only got 1 win. You come on. Like that, so I'm telling you, defense, baby, defense. A number 1 defense is, and look how dangerous to have a number 1 defense in Buffalo is, guys. I mean, I'm salivating thinking about a number 1 defense. The number of times a number 1 defense means they keep giving the ball back to the offense. And boy, our offense is number 1. Oh my God.
Talking about having the number 1 defense, you also got the number 1 offense.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's like, man, it's as good as it gets. The formula for success is, I mean, just it's amazing to see it all come together right now, because that number 1 defense is probably the most valuable asset to the entire Buffalo Bills team.
Last year, looking at it, Muki, the Bills had the number 1 defense statistically, maybe not necessarily in the locker room, though, not the most talented. Is this the most talented, dominant defense in the NFL right now?
One of.
No.
One of.
I say no right now. They're good. They holding it down. But
one of. It could be a tie. I mean, they in the conversation. Clearly, it's theirs to hold on to. It make people believe it more, because let's face it, guys, this is Buffalo, all right, and we know that people look down on Buffalo. It's not a major market. It's not Chicago. It's not Green Bay. It's not Dallas. You have to
Don't
be.
talk about them right now. Don't, you
And
know
then,
what?
but this is a part to my conversation. Technically, the Bills are that excitement that everybody in the NFL, you turn the news on, you turn on the major stations, everyone's yelling how great with the Eagles defense, how great the Dallas Cowboy defense, how great is what's the other defense everybody yelling about? Buffalo Bills. That's because they wait to think about the Buffalo Bills. I did that on purpose just because Philadelphia and Dallas, two big markets. And so we're going to hear more noise generally about their success, and their success gets bumped up a little bit more because they got more media outlets. They got sheer numbers of more people talking about them, but when they get down, when it turns into real football and not just the weatherman saying, hey, we got the number one defense, and people that really look at the game like us, the three of us, and we tell those people like, no, technically we got the number one defense, and ours is as good as yours and is advertised. It's just that you just got more people that you can tell your lies to. You know what I mean? And they'll buy it because they in your town. What's our population in Buffalo?
Probably about 125.
Yeah.
All right, 125. Dallas and Philly alone, just alone, they could get that like in a second. They got the numbers. You know what I mean? So it's going to automatically lend people to think, oh, well, Chicago, it's Buffalo. I mean, no, it's Philadelphia and it's Dallas. They're the best. But yeah, you only think a large market team is better.
I will say, all right, the Bills are the number one rushing defense, and they're number two total defense in terms of yardage, and they are the number one scoring defense. After having played two former MVPs, a Super Bowl champion in Matt Stafford, who has an MVP arm, and also a Pro Bowl quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, and Tua, who's supposed to be this upgraded version of whatever, right? So, I mean, the resume is there. Muki, what do you think then?
I'm saying no because, I'm just waiting for the Bills to get completely healthy, and that's when you're really going to see the number one defense. These dudes are not even really all that healthy. You got Jordan Poyer right now on the shuttle bus. Probably just got back to the town as we speak. Because he couldn't get on the plane because of a collapsed lung. So he drove to Kansas City and back to Kansas City. So, once those guys get completely, fully healthy, thank God the bye week is this week. So, maybe, some wounds get healed and, we'll get Tre'Davious White back, pretty soon. I'm not going to rush things just because he's cleared to practice, but, you're going to get Tre'Davious back at some point. And the way these young rookie cornerbacks are playing, and Kyer Elam and Benford, and let's not forget Xavier Rhodes is still on this roster. So, once this defense get completely healthy, Jordan Phillips, look at the way he played. I told you he was going to be an X factor out there.
He balled out. I like the big fella back in there. He was there.
So and he's still dealing with a little nagging hamstring injury. But once those guys get really completely healthy, then I mean, it's inevitable.
In there as a player, Muki. I'm gonna throw this in there as a player, and you're right, as completely healthy relative to them all being on the field and being able to play at their best. Now, a old player told me once at the early part of the season I had messed my finger up, and I was like, "Oh man, I can't wait till I make this get healthy with this again." He's like, "You ain't gonna be healthy no more." You have a new healthy, and once you've been hurt, and then if you come back, you still hurt. you just find a way to, play through that hurt or that injury, because the big fella's hamstring, he's gonna have to monitor that all year long. It doesn't go away, and I think a lot of times when we hear healthy, we think, okay, they had 2 weeks off, they back, oh, they can run full speed again. There's still slight limitations because that injury isn't going to completely heal until really the season's over with. So you're seeing that, and think about that, guys. Think about how tough those guys are to be able to have these injuries, then fight back, get on the field and play and still maintain them. Because, I'm telling you, ask a track runner what happened when they pull a hamstring, how long they got to deal with.
Out.
That hamstring be rest of your life. I still to this day hamstrings messing with me. So I'm just give you that part of getting back healthy. But they'll be, when they do get back on the field, they know they coming back and they got to play at that level, even though they might have a little bump or bruise that they still nursing.
Yep. All right, fair enough, gentlemen. All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the kneel down portion of the show. You already know that's where we get our segments to talk about whatever is on our heart. And we're going to start off with the legendary coach, Muki Hawkins. A moment with Muki. What's on your mind today, Coach?
Victory Monday is on my mind, and the Bills are in the driver's seat for home field advantage. Again, it's not the blowout that we expected, but, I mean, the Bills dominated when they needed to dominate the game. I mean, the coach got confidence to go for it on 4th and 3 late in the game where they're down, and they don't convert, but the defense, goes through. I mean, you're starting to see this team again, like that second half in that Baltimore game. That's where you start to see the chemistry coming and the teams gelling. And that's kind of scary for a Super Bowl contender team to gel very early. And you're seeing that in the Steelers game, the blowout versus the Steelers, and you see the confidence in the Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And you're going to see that confidence against every team that they play. They are not going to play down to the level of their competition. They've been there and done that. So for those guys to go out there and play aggressively cautious, I like that. I like where it's going, coming into the bye week, rest guys up. Green Bay's not playing well. And, hopefully this thing can continue, because right now it all leads through Buffalo, baby. If they can keep this thing up, the road to the Super Bowl leads through Buffalo, baby. And, a lot of teams don't want to come here late January. They don't want to come here. Ruben already know they don't want to do that. So, I like where the team is right now. The coach is doing a solid job. Let's get consistent with it, and boys get healthy, and you could really start seeing blowouts, and not the people not being scored on. It's just as simple as that.
A win over Kansas City and a win over Baltimore definitely puts you in the driver's seat here in the AFC. All right, next up we got the legendary Reuben Brown, of course, legendary Buffalo Bills player, Hall of Fame candidate. What's on your mind today, Rube?
Oh man, it was an amazing game, and I came into the rundown wanting to talk about the emergence of the Buffalo Bills run game. Oh my God, they actually have a run game. They actually have a designed run game. Not no Josh drop back and he can't find nobody open and decide to run. Not no, I'm gonna run my quarterback on a Oklahoma sweep run. I'm talking turn around, hand it to the running back, which I ain't even know we had running backs to run the ball. I thought we just had them to catch the damn ball. Man, I was so damn happy. I could not. I lost myself. I was like, oh, they gonna come out here and pull a Bill Belichick on your ass? You just thought they was gonna pass everywhere, and then they're gonna line up and run formation and smash on your ass? I loved it. When I saw that, I said, Buffalo, y'all some gangster motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you why. Buffalo is the mob, son. I'm telling you, they are the mob because who the hell lines up in their goal line in shotgun and drop bombs all the way to the other end of the end zone? Who? I didn't see Patrick Mahomes do that. I ain't seen Rodgers. I ain't seen Tom Brady. I ain't seen no team. How many times, guys, has that happened? The Bills are backed up in the end zone. They in shotgun formation. So we coming up out of this joint. We coming up, and we're not gonna listen. I'm gonna tell you right now. Whenever a team is backed up, I can call the very first play that every team in the NFL puts in their playbook to run to get out of that. Every team runs that dive straight ahead. That's the only play you can run in out of that situation. What did our team do? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me. And then
go forward.
Huh?
You want to move forward. You want to get as many yards as you can, moving only north and south because you do not want to move east and west on the goal line.
And they came up out of there like they planned it. You see what I'm saying?
It's design.
Like they planned. Most teams come out of passing that situation. The quarterback throwing it up over his shoulder. He ain't even looking where it's going because he's just trying to keep it from going in the back of the end zone for a safety. But would it be? No, Josh standing in there strong, and boom, first down. Like, wait a minute,
or touchdown.
we had you. Now, okay, now that you took that first down, take this touchdown. Take that. Gangster, fellas, gangster. The Bills is the mob. Mafia. They the mob.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right. Last but not least, we have a general rule here. So for me, I think there is a really, really huge difference between, because obviously we knew prior to this game we were going to have our bye week after it, right? Going into this game, I feel like it was super important to win because there's a huge difference between going into the bye after a tough loss to your rival for all intents and purposes, right? And then also, going into bye versus a rival on a loss versus your rival, 4-2, and you got to sit with that. You got to let that fester for 2 whole weeks before you can get back on the field and take your emotions out on people, right? But to go into the bye where you get a break, I'm sure you'll enjoy it more. Come off of beating the best team in the AFC. It has to be a much better feeling as a player. It most certainly is a much better feeling as a fan. To get that win 2 years in a row now in Arrowhead. Josh Allen outduels Patrick Mahomes again. I mean, this is now 3 times in a row where he's really outdoing Patrick Mahomes, if we're being completely honest. But I mean, so it feels really good to get that W. And every Sunday when the Bills play, it comes with a little anxiety. I don't care if we're playing the Chiefs or the Lions, right? Yeah. But obviously, there's a little more when you're playing the Chiefs and the Ravens and things like that. I ain't got no anxiety next week, because I know we already stumped the Chiefs and the Ravens, so I ain't worried about it, and that's a great feeling to have. So I'm really happy about that. But fellas, y'all got anything else y'all wanna say before we get up out of here?
You want to crown their asses? Crown them, because they were who they thought we were. They were who we thought they were. All right.
I just want to tell everybody out there in the world, a mafia is more a mob. All right? It's a mob.
It's a mob.
Do you believe?
Hey, go Bills.